Students at Harvard University are challenging the racial bias of admissions at their school, and they've taken it all the way to the Supreme Court.
ntTV's own Sebastian Nava has an amazing story of a person aiming to change the lives of other DACA dreamers just like them.
After refusing to feed from the mother, we share this miraculous story of how an infant child helped a mother discover her breast cancer.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Isabella Quintanilla.
And I'm Mauricio Ortiz-Segura. Today we're starting off with a weather update from our weather anchor, Alec Rapp. Alec?
Thanks, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at the current conditions here in Denton, Texas. So it is 65 degrees and it feels as such. It is a cloudy day, but some good news. It's not as windy as it was last week. We were seeing 11, 12, 13 miles per hour. Right now, just 1 mile per hour is the wind speed. And then if we go ahead and take a look at tonight, we're going to see some similar temperatures out there. It's going to be 60 degrees, going to feel as such. The wind's going to kick up just a little bit to 4 miles per hour, but nothing major. And then tomorrow, we're going to have some warmer weather that's going to come in. It's going to be 77 degrees. It's going to feel like 77, and the wind speed will be 4 miles per hour. So a little bit warmer weather for the rest of the week, but I'll have more on that. But for now, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Alec. The protests in Iran for the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died back in September after being detained by the country's military police, allegedly for not abiding the country's conservative dress code. Iranian police officers dressed in plain clothing, members of the Baathi militia, and protesters clashed in front of the Azad University. Tear gas appears to be thrown as a large crowd of protesters can be seen holding sticks in protest. These protests have led to the death of many innocent protesters. Among those have been women and children. One of those including 16-year-old Nika Shakarami, a girl who disappeared last month after waving her hijab at a protest in the city of Tehran. Protests are continuing to grow more widespread and defiant as the death toll of protesters continues to rise.
The nightlife district in Seoul, South Korea, which has always been the place to go for college students, is now the place most will likely want to avoid, as at least 150 people who were out partying were killed there last Saturday night. They were crushed as a large crowd that was out partying for Halloween tried to move through a narrow alley. One of the victims was Stephen Blessy, a 20-year-old college student from Marietta, Georgia. He was a junior at Kennesaw State University and was studying for international business. 2 months was all the time he had spent in Korea before the tragedy happened. Blessy's dad had sent him a text that night saying, quote, "I know you're out and about. Stay safe. I love you." He never heard back. Blessy was one of the 2 Americans killed that night. The second American who was killed in the crowd rush in Seoul was identified as Ann Giesk, a University of Kentucky nursing student. Both students have been studying abroad in Seoul. The State Department said that at least 3 U.S. citizens were among those who were injured, in addition to the 2 fatalities. President Joe Biden said Sunday that he and the First Lady are, quote, "devastated to learn that at least 2 Americans are among so many who lost their lives in Seoul." He added, quote, "Our hearts go out to their loved ones in this time of grief." Just as Biden said, our hearts go out to everyone in South Korea and anyone affected by this tragedy. Let's head over to our weather anchor and fortunately our sports anchor, also Alec Rapp, to see what we can expect for today's weather. Seems we'll be moving on. There are 2 cases are set to be heard on Monday by the Supreme Court about challenges to the use of race-based affirmative action in admission policies at the University of North Carolina and Harvard University. CNN's Michael Perchik has more.
The energy stemming from the pit, where seniors Julia Black and Joran Biggs, leaders of the Black student movement, gathered with friends. They've been following the challenge.
Studies have shown that standardized testing is racially biased towards Black and Latino students particularly. And so if you're being judged merely on grades and standardized test scores, which have already proven to be based on both race and class, then clearly that's not race-blind admissions.
They point to the importance of diversity on the campus community, fostering an environment more representative of society.
In order to have that diversity that makes more valuable the educational experience, you need to have information about just who it is that that's seeking admission into the institution.
That belief, backed by UNC Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz, who shared in part, our nation needs the next generation of leaders to be ready to participate in our diverse democracy by thinking critically, embracing differences, and forging common ground. The case revolves around Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, prohibiting schools from receiving federal funds from racial discrimination. It also claims the university's practice is in violation of the 14th Amendment, which guarantees equal protection of the law. Kenny Shue is an author in Raleigh and on the board of Students for Fair Admissions, the group that filed the suit.
We're trying to eliminate race-based discrimination here. No one should be surprised that we're trying to make a more colorblind country where race is less of a factor in our country in admissions, promotions, and hiring.
Shue first became involved in challenges to Harvard's policies, alleging they were discriminatory to Asian students. That school also set to appear in court Monday.
Using a new form of racial discrimination to make up for the past racial discrimination is not only unfair and unnecessary, it's also unconstitutional.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, a Harvard alumni, has recused herself from the case involving Harvard. She will participate in the UNC hearing.
Have you ever been to the Fort Worth Zoo during Halloween? Well, if you haven't, we will share with you the spooky events they had with their animals this past weekend.
Happy Halloween to all of you trick-or-treaters out there. It's going to be chilly out tonight, so be sure and bundle up before heading out to get your candy. Our full weather forecast is coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
Hey man, are you okay in there? You look terrible. Have you been up all night? Don't you know that according to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, staying up all night can have a negative effect on your GPA?
Sleep?
Yeah, go to bed.
Man, I have all these non-perishable food items and I don't know what to do with them.
I don't have any food at all.
Do you have too many non-perishable goods?
Yeah.
Have you run out of food and can't get any more?
Yeah.
Well, don't have a cow. Head on down to the UNT Food Pantry. Located behind Crumley Hall and Diamond Eagle Student Resource Center, the Food Pantry is the place for UNT students to get all the food they need. You'll be utterly surprised by all the options they have there. From gluten-free to lactose intolerant, even vegan and vegetarian, they have it all. Go to studentaffairs.unt.edu/food pantry for more information.
Move on down to the UNC Food Pantry.
Well, this week is an exciting week for UNT. Can you guess what week it is today?
What week is it?
It is homecoming week for UNT, and I know I am so excited for everything that we have planned. What about you? Are you excited?
Oh, you know me, I'm a homecoming fanatic. So why don't we go with our live reporter, Kayla Bumpus, to see what she has to say about homecoming week. Kayla, what do you have for us?
Homecoming week is finally here, and UNT is so ready to celebrate. We have plenty of events to participate in, including a picnic today from now until 1 at the Library Mall. Be sure to bring a valid UNT ID in order to participate. Homecoming voting has begun today and is valid through November 3rd, which can be done through OrgSync. We also have a Build-A-Bear event today from 3 to 5 in the Union, room 314. You are invited to have a very fun time helping stuff teddy bears to donate to the children at Cook Children's Hospital. Be sure to check it out if you get the chance. Back to you in the studio, Isabella, and happy Halloween.
Thank you so much, Kayla. I know I'm really looking forward to homecoming. Now, with the DACA program constantly under the microscope, the impact it can have on local communities is unmeasurable. ntTV's Sebastian Nava has the story of one dreamer who works to make other DACA students' dreams come true.
Cliff neighborhood of Dallas, thousands of immigrants rely on the DACA program to create opportunities for themselves. But in recent years, the DACA program has been put under legal scrutiny, leaving many in the neighborhood wondering what's next for them and their families. But that hasn't stopped some in the neighborhood from making a positive impact.
They don't see going to college as an option. That was one of the main things many people asked me when I was going to college. Why are you going to college? You don't even have a way to work afterwards. Because now it would change the mentality of a community like Oak Cliff. We don't value education. We don't value it. That's our culture. We are hard workers. Yes, we work hard and everything, but we don't value education. Why? Because many of us are immigrants.
But despite all the obstacles he faced, Coach Castro persisted.
They gave me a chance to work, and that's basically what I needed. I had already gone to school. I had the degree. The only thing missing was I had no social.
Coach Castro now contributes to the community as the head coach for the Adamson High School soccer team, a team that has produced 2 valedictorians.
If they're failing, I always tell them, I don't need you in the field. You need to go and do whatever, catch up in grades. Now that I'm a coach, I don't know how I can go back just to teaching. It has so much impact. A sport has so much impact if we use it the right way.
Reporting for ntTV, I'm Sebastian Nava.
You know, what a wonderful story. I know I definitely got a little emotional watching that for the first time. Now let's head out to our weather anchor, Alec Rapp, to see what we can expect for the full weather this week. Alec?
Thanks, Isabella. Let's go ahead and take a look across North Texas here. As you guys can see, we're in the mid-70s all around. We've got a low of 74 up in Paris and Sherman, and then the high in the area is down in Fort Worth, 77 degrees. And the high for today in Denton is going to be 76, and the same down in Dallas. So we're hovering around that mid-70s temperature. And then let's go ahead and take a look across the state and the region. Once again, very similar temperatures. We're seeing the mid-70s. The coolest is up in Amarillo. It's going to be 71 degrees. And then a 10-degree difference down in Austin, 81 degrees. So that's the warmest temperature in our area so far. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the week for Denton. If we take a look at tomorrow, it's going to be cloudy, a high of 77 and a low of 52. And we're going to continue to see those 70-degree temperatures throughout the week. Looking at Thursday and Friday, 77 and 76. And then you see a drop about 13 degrees. That's because we have rain coming Thursday and Friday, or excuse me, Friday and Saturday. So make sure you have an umbrella or a rain jacket with you. And then those temperatures are going to go back up into the 70s, 73 on Sunday with a low of 50. And then on Monday, it is a high of 74 and a low of 52. That's all for now. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks again, Alec. Researchers from North Texas universities have discovered a molecule with the ability to kill a wide variety of hard-to-treat cancers, including an aggressive form of breast cancer. The researchers have tested this molecule on mice and aim to test it in humans within the coming year. Associate chemistry professor at the University of Texas at Dallas, Jungmo An, has discovered that the proteins that bind the cause uncontrollable cell growth can be hindered by the molecule that they are researching. He says that the research being done is important to him because he knows that it will help ultimately other people's lives.
According to the CDC, 1 in 5 U.S. adults say that they do not plan to get the updated COVID-19 booster shot. About half of adults have either received their booster or plan to get it. The CDC also reports that about 23 million people over age 5 and up have gotten the updated COVID booster vaccine. The older someone is, the more likely they are to be boosted with the shot that protects against the Omicron BA4 and 5 variants. Nearly 2/3 of seniors have gotten their updated vaccination or plan to do so. However, almost a quarter of adults under the age of 50 say that probably or definitely they will not get the booster at all.
Flu season is here, and according to recent data, the U.S. hasn't seen a flu season this bad in more than a decade. The CDC says that the flu has ramped up early across the U.S. and flu hospitalizations are worse than usual for this time of year. It's been more than a decade since flu hospitalization rates have been this high at this point in the season. According to CDC, estimates say that there have been at least 880,000 illnesses, nearly 7,000 hospitalizations, and 360 deaths from flu in the U.S. so far this season. The first pediatric death in the U.S. was reported this week. Data from Walgreens that tracks prescriptions for antiviral treatments suggests there are hotspots in the Gulf Coast area, including Houston and New Orleans. Let this be a reminder to get your yearly flu shot, and remember to always watch your hands.
One of the happiest days of a mother's life is giving birth to her child. But what if that same child helps discover that you have cancer? Well, this is exactly what happened to this new mother. Her story is coming up later in the show.
It was boo at the Fort Worth Zoo this past weekend. Our very own Mauricio Ortiz-Segura has the story for you coming up next. Stay with us.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
I had a chance to go over to the Fort Worth Zoo this past weekend and take part in their annual Boo at the Zoo Halloween event. Let's take a look. Fort Worth Zoo's annual Boo at the Zoo event, where the Fort Worth Zoo has put on its own Halloween costume and invited its guests to put on their own costumes and join it in the festivities. This Halloween celebration has been bringing people back to the Fort Worth Zoo for years now.
This is my 10th consecutive year.
This will be my 4th year doing Boo at the Zoo.
Maybe 10 years, I'd have to say.
When asking the entertainers who help bring this event back from the dead every year what their favorite part about it is, they had this to say.
When we have these huge crowds of people, I love it. The kids get all excited, and we just have fun.
Well, I love Halloween, so I always love putting on a show. We have free reign of picking the show, decorating, and so I think that's probably the best part is we get to make it all up ourselves.
With that in mind, I went to go check out what the zoo had to offer. I went trick-or-treating with the free candy coupons and bag I got, had a thrilling conversation on why I should care about frogs and toads, considered a career change, ate a sausage on a stick, and the minute I heard about the backwards kooky carousel, you know I had to get on that as soon as possible. The zoo had so many bone-chilling events, I got a little turned around, but I always managed to find myself back to the animals.
I had to bring my wife out here to come see Brazos the elephant. when he was first born. And so I think elephants are probably our favorite.
In the reptile exhibit, there's always been this really big Komodo dragon I ever got to see, and every year I make sure to come and see the Komodo dragon. That has to be my favorite part.
I would say things like Kenya, our serval that you saw, and more of our bigger animals, showing that off to people, animals they don't normally see here in Texas or the United States. I think that's our biggest draw.
Not only did I see a wide variety of animals, I also saw a large array of costume wearers from people of all ages.
I already got to see other Demon Slayer characters, so I'm just wandering around to see if I can see any more.
How's it feel to see your fellow, people dressed up, all over?
I love it.
Boo at the Zoo definitely gave me the spooks, but in a fun way. The Fort Worth Zoo clearly wants both its animals and visitors to have the best possible time this haunting season. And frankly, I can't wait to come back again next year. If you couldn't catch this event last week, well, don't worry, because the Fort Worth Zoo does this every year. And if you're a Halloween and animal lover like me, then you'll want to mark this down in your calendar.
It's always interesting to see what creative costumes people come up with for Halloween. One Iowa man decided to dress up as the monster version of his front door, otherwise known as a monster. CNN's Gene Moose has more.
C is for cookie.
It's as if the Cookie Monster took up residence in the front door.
You like candy? Well, I'm gonna eat you.
This is an Iowa family's contribution to Halloween.
So I thought I'd just dress up the house.
It took Greg Dietzenbach 10 days and about $200 to make what he calls the Monster.
It looked like a Pixar movie come to life.
What are you doing? That's my candy.
First, he made a mini prototype. Then he made a door, arms out of broomsticks, video eyes looped on an old TV, and a mouth out of styrofoam covered in purple fur everywhere.
In the end, it pretty much looked like I killed a Muppet.
Every Halloween, Greg, the creative director at a creative design agency, does something unique for Halloween, like when he made this Zoom meeting costume for his kids at the height of the pandemic. On Halloween, he'll be the man behind the door, flapping the arms.
Hey!
And using his foot to move a line attached to his shoe that moves the mouth. In a way, Greg is a little like the Wizard of Oz. Oh. One thing Greg's monster door can't do is open. To get inside, Greg usually crawls through a window. But when it comes to those vocals...
That's my candy!
Greg's more of a whiz than the wizard.
I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz. Hey, that's my candy!
Greg is the Wizard of Iowa. Jeannie Mose, CNN.
Happy Halloween!
New York.
That is definitely one of the most creative costumes of the year, and I'm sure the kids love it, even if they are a little terrified that he will eat them.
You've probably heard of pumpkin carving contests, but have you ever thought to yourself, what if I did it underwater? Well, people in Florida, to no one's surprise, are already doing it. In Florida Keys, the annual underwater pumpkin carving contest happened this past Saturday, and the diving competitors brought their A game 25 feet below the surface. They made everything from sharks to jellyfish to pirate pumpkins. Fish who were curious came to snack on the bits of orange gourds that came floating off. The winners got a free dive trip for two at Amore Dive Resort, the contest's sponsor.
Denton's Day of the Dead Festival returned to the community after its 2-year hiatus. The festival kicked off Friday with more activities throughout the weekend in downtown Denton to celebrate the special holiday. The Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, is a Mexican holiday tradition where people celebrate the dead with an ofrenda, an altar shrine to remember and honor people who have passed away, and other festivities. This year's festivities included a pumpkin patch, the popular coffin races, a haunted maze, Circa du Horror show, and the Twilight Lantern Parade. Both the festival committee and Dentonites were excited to bring back this festival to the community. One volunteer said it's important to remember the people who have passed away and to continue to have the tradition of placing altar items.
With another Cowboys win in the books and their record looking even better, it's time we ask ourselves, is it a Super Bowl season? Alec, what do you think?
Well, Mauricio, I don't know if I want to say that quite yet, but it could be the year. And either way, it was a good weekend for football in Arlington. The Cowboys won, and there's a new team in town. More on that after this.
Your vote. In our democracy, they matter. Make yours count. Get registered, learn the issues, and vote by or on November 3rd. Visit vote411.org. This message is furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion. We are broadcasters. Text TV to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Hey, listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water, our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
Sorry. Oh, sorry, man. Oh, sorry.
A beatdown of the Bears yesterday at AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys had their first 40-point game of the season, winning 49-29. Dak Prescott appeared to be back to his old form with 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. But he wasn't the hero for the Cowboys. The Cowboys offense ran through running back Tony Pollard, who started in place of the injured Ezekiel Elliott, and he had 131 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. The lone defensive score of the game came on a 36-yard fumble recovery where Micah Parsons went untouched to the end zone. The Cowboys have a bye this week, but don't expect it to be a quiet week. After the game, owner and general manager Jerry Jones said he's willing to move draft capital to win a Super Bowl. The NFL trade deadline is tomorrow at 3 p.m., so if Jones wants to make some moves, now is the time. There's another football team headed to Arlington, and that is the rebranded Arlington Renegades of the XFL. The XFL was started in 2001 by Vince McMahon. It went away for 19 years before returning in 2020 and collapsing once again. This time the league is under new management. It is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and they're going to hit the gridiron early next year. The league added 3 new teams: the San Antonio Brahmas, the Orlando Guardians, and the Seattle Sea Dragons. The XFL gives players the opportunity and a platform to make a name for themselves in hope of making it to the National Football League. North Texas Soccer, they ended their regular season on Saturday in Denton with a 2-1 win over Louisiana Tech to clinch the 2nd seed in the Conference USA Soccer Tournament. The team finished the year 11-5-2 to complete their 28th consecutive winning season under coach John Hedlund. The Mean Green, they'll play in Charlotte this Wednesday at 10 a.m. against the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in the first round of the Conference USA Tournament. That's all from me. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Alec. Over in Michigan, a baby helped his mom discover that she had breast cancer and potentially saved her life. CNN's Ellen Rambideau has more.
Yeah, I got you. 1-year-old Tatum Rabideau was born on Mother's Day 2021. Weeks later, when Tatum would not latch to breastfeed, her mother Ellen started to worry.
My right breast became very swollen, enlarged, and extremely painful.
A closer look revealed Ellen had stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer.
Inflammatory breast cancer is incredibly rare and aggressive, and there is never usually a lump to be found.
So when Tatum was delivered at 37 weeks, she not only changed Ellen's life, but saved it.
I had had a clean mammogram in February, but they do think this may have started growing while I was pregnant. And so I really think that her coming early was the start of getting this ball rolling.
Now Ellen is in remission, something she thought wasn't possible after losing both of her maternal aunts to breast cancer when they were in their 40s. Ellen has their same doctors.
6 months prior to her diagnosis, there was what we call a practice-changing study that released data that showed that using these PARP inhibitor drugs in BRCA-mutated patients gives better outcomes. So I was able to at least provide her with that information to say, we have a better chance, Ellen. Your story is going to be different than every other family member in your family.
And that brings more hope for the future.
To kind of rewrite this story for our family I feel really lucky.
Well, if I was that baby, I would definitely be holding that over my mom's head for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, I'd be asking for an extra birthday present every year.
Well, I think you can. I mean, after all, you can say, well, Mom, I saved your life.
She can never get mad at you again.
That's right. Thank you so much for watching ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tomorrow here on North Texas Television.